Javier is an incredibly unique individual, consistently accompanied by a colossal dog and bearing a bag filled with numerous books. Evidently, he lacks a specific destination in mind. He sustains himself through the generosity of tourists, locals passing by, and a growing number of acquaintances who are already familiar with him. The origins and purpose of his presence there remained a mystery. Speculations floated, suggesting that a couple who had come for the summer left him abandoned, while others claimed he arrived on foot from another town. However, it was undeniable that he possessed very little, yet he selflessly shared it with his unwavering canine companion. On a particular day, the local authorities arranged a citizen assembly, summoning representatives from the hotel and tourism sector. Mr. Rodriguez, being a highly influential businessman in the area, couldn't afford to be absent. Consequently, he departed the Grand Hotel on foot, making his way to the city hall. Along his journey, he crossed paths with Javier, who was immersed in a tranquil and inquisitive reading session. Curious about Javier's reading material, the businessman inquired, "What interesting book are you reading, young man?" Javier replied, "It's a book about the French Revolution, sir." Astonished, the businessman further inquired about Javier's access to such books, only to discover that what often obstructs and gets discarded by many was embraced by a curious child with an exceptional thirst for knowledge. Overwhelmed with joy by this revelation, the businessman immediately called his hotel restaurant and instructed them that Javier would be arriving, granting him anything he desired. After ending the call, he expressed his desire for the young man to have a satisfying meal, one that went beyond mere leftovers. He invited Javier to the hotel where they eagerly awaited his presence. Javier showed his deepest appreciation and accepted his invitation. Immediately afterward, he said goodbye as his interlocutor must attend to his responsibility. Days go by, and Javier, who had a stroke of luck at that time, had to continue looking for a way to survive. Although he would continue reading, he would continue to carry with him the responsibility of said faithful four-legged companion, who never leaves him while he fights in the streets. Mr. Rodriguez leads his own fight in his tourist compound. Being the owner of a hotel can be a tough job, something that requires a lot of responsibility and commitment. Stress is often present, and Mr. Rodriguez, who felt exhausted and with great pressure on his chest, decided to go to the entrance to get some fresh air only to collapse on the floor. Not many moments later, it seemed that his body had given way. Faced with such a scene, people came to his aid, but it would be Javier, who was seeing what was happening from afar, who rushed to give him a hand. When he finally arrived at the place and asked people to move away upon seeing who it was, they ignored it. However, his dog began to jump and bark, and as a result, people were forced to disperse. The boy took the pulse in the neck just as he had learned in a first aid book, only to find that Mr. Rodriguez's heart had stopped beating with great determination and without anyone being able to stop him. He placed his hands on his chest and performed cardiopulmonary resuscitation, massage immediately recovering the businessman's consciousness. The ambulance someone had called arrived and they took him away, but Mr. Rodriguez was able to see the young man was the one who had managed to save his life. While in the hospital recovering, he began to reflect and realize the potential that Javier has. He'd been able to give him first aid, and he was a boy who had never even been to school. Mr. Rodriguez felt indebted indeed. At least he expected at that time the death was going to take him away without warning, but his life had been saved thanks to Javier's love of reading and intelligence. He might not have anything material, but the boy was gifted with something much more important. Finally, he was discharged, and he told his assistant to take him to a point on the boulevard because he had something to do there. He was the one who had managed to save his life, and upon locating him, he decided to lower the car window and say, "Javier, come up. Come with me." "What do you want from me, sir?" The boy answered with curiosity. "You saved my life through your intelligence. I must thank you properly." He responded, "Well, don't worry, it was nothing. You don't owe me anything." Javier's responded, "I insist, come with me tonight. You will sleep in a bed and bring your pet if you want," Mr. Rodriguez stated decisively. Needless to say, that night was very different for Javier. He was learning what a bed, a shower, clean clothes, and someone's true goodness were. Mr. Rodriguez decided to talk with him. They spent long hours talking about various topics. The boy was brilliant and he had a lot to talk about. He even corrected data that he believed to be true. The businessman saw the potential and decided to offer him a job. So, from that moment on, Javier started working as a lifeguard in the pool at the Grand Hotel. He would receive a salary and he could eat for free there, but in addition, the businessman would also grant him a humble but decent residence. He would never again allow him to be in need. Mr. Rodriguez was very skilled in the hotel business. Therefore, he would open new hotels in different tourist centers of the country. Over the years, Javier did gain the trust of his owner more and more, and he also learned about the different areas of the industry at a swift pace. He was a lifeguard for a short time, and then later he tested his talents in the kitchen. In the same way, he would go through the reception, purchasing, department, administration, and maintenance, and that way he would soon become Mr. Rodriguez's personal assistant. Javier would not stop learning because his curiosity was great, and his thirst for knowledge would also take a specialized course. He would continue to choose a lot, and now as an assistant, he would shake up with all kinds of people. He would also see different lifestyles, cultures, customs, and new teachings. He would be interested in other languages. He would get good tips. He would buy his first house and his first car. Eventually, he would also fall in love with a guest, and she would reciprocate. Now, at first, Mr. Rodriguez would not see this with good eyes coming to claim him for it. However, he would understand that beyond professional ethics were feelings. He was also part of this environment. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. Therefore, little by little, he would stop seeing the relationship badly and let it flourish, given that the chain continued to grow and new managers would be needed. Considering that the now adult Javier knew several languages thanks to what he read and his practices with the guests after being under their tutelage for years, he had now managed to obtain a very extensive good knowledge of the hotel area. With a life-changing decision, Mr. Rodriguez entrusted Javier with a tremendous responsibility. Despite being just 22 years old, Javier was appointed as the CEO of the new Grand Hotel on the West Coast. While his age might have seemed young for such a significant role, he proved to be the most fitting candidate, surpassing even his own wildest dreams. Without hesitation, Javier accepted the position with deep gratitude towards his boss. Mr. Rodriguez had become more than just an employer, he had become a father figure. Welcoming Javier, trusting in his abilities, valuing his potential, and providing the necessary guidance, Mr. Rodriguez had nurtured him to reach the pinnacle of success. Intelligence is often concealed, hidden behind walls of shyness, isolation, or underestimation, just as Javier may have experienced while living on the streets and being excluded from social dynamics. However, he emerged as a true genius, showcasing the untapped brilliance that exists in so many individuals. This serves as a reminder of the countless hidden minds brimming with exceptional talent that lie undiscovered in the world. We would appreciate hearing your thoughts on this story. Please share your comments in the comments section below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, we kindly request you to share it and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your support.